I'm getting messages on WhatsApp. My sister's messaged me. When it went ahead, we had like big screens behind, and go on. Yeah. No. I had big screens behind, right, and a big presentation. It's like 25 minutes, half an hour presentation. And it's kind of on TV. It was like recorded TV, and the first. Literally went up in it, and then the first slide so I changed the presentation twice, and then the second time, the first slide was the same, right? And then the second slide was wrong, and it's a different slide. So I was like, hey, have you got a new slide? So like, no, you roll with it. And it was like a completely different presentation from what I had, and I was like, oh, so you had to wing a 25-minute presentation. Which,
win this one, would you?
No, I'm not gonna wing this one, no. I've got to talk tomorrow as well, actually. This is good practice, I guess, for that. Yeah, so ever since that first time I've been done that presentation, that's just been a lot easier after that, because like nothing could be worse than trying to wing a conversation or wing a half an hour presentation. So anyway, the good thing about this, do you mind if I just make sure it doesn't stop? Is that this microphone, no matter where I go 100 feet away, it still feels like I'm next to the camera. I'm in it, aren't I? No, it's cool. So anyway, goal setting 101, welcome, thank you for coming. Hey! Do you, obviously you all have a goal, right, when you come here, yeah? There's a certain reason you come to here. Like, do you mind sharing that surface level reason? Does anyone mind sharing their reason that they come here?
Weight loss.
Weight loss?
Weight loss and keeping healthy.
Keeping healthy?
Same.
Same. Perfect, okay, cool. So I want to spend a little bit about like, say, the outcome and the process. Basic outcome goal being like weight loss, like 5-10 kilos, and maybe the process, which is what basically is required to get to that point. That makes sense, right? So if we look at, there's a guy that I read quite a lot, a guy called James Clear. Before I delve into like how to do basic stuff, I just want to maybe go back a little bit and say maybe some mistakes that we kind of make when we're looking at creating goals and trying to set achievements for ourselves. So winners and losers always have the same goal. Like, someone always wants to win the World Cup, right? There's winners and losers, right? Unfortunately, England lost. Someone always wants to win 100 meters, right? Someone wants to lose 10 kilos, etc. Everyone has the same goal, but it's not necessarily the goal that's the issue. It's this what's underneath that, right? Because the goal is not the problem, because someone does win it, right? And someone does lose it. So the goal isn't the issue for a lot of people. It's what's behind that goal that makes the biggest difference. So normally when we look at the outcome, right, sometimes we don't really understand the process or the systems that are required to get to that goal. So that's kind of what I want to touch on today, a little bit. A goal is only a momentary change, right? So let's say, for instance, we have a goal of 5 kilos, right? And we get to that goal of 5 kilos. Nothing really changes beyond that, right? We think that 5 kilos is a goal, but what happens after that, right? We change in that moment, but we don't, what sometimes happens, if we're so focused on the outcome, oftentimes we neglect what helps get us there, and we don't really understand and change our identity around that, basically. So the identity is quite important for a lot of people, right? The belief systems, the way we talk to ourselves, what we do on a day-to-day basis. Oh, my voice is going off to shouting in that place. So sometimes, right, we lose, say, 5-10 kilos and we get to that shape, but it's only that instant, that 5 kilos, however long it takes us to get there, is that's the only change we have. We don't have the change of like our identity, the way we have our habits, how we sleep on a day-to-day basis, how our energy is, how our mood is, awareness around snacking, right? So we want to make sure that we're not just focusing on just a specific outcome, the 5 kilos, right? We want to make sure that we focus on the other stuff behind it, again, like I mentioned. Goals also restrict happiness. We think as well, like if we reach a financial, like a certain financial figure, we'll be happy. A lot of people say that, when I get to this level, I'll be happy. When I drop 5 kilos, I'll be happy, right? But the problem being is that if we're always chasing that goal, we never get to that 5 kilos, does that mean we'll never be happy, right? And once we get to that goal, like, then will we stay happy forever? Right, a lot of people are, no, if I lose 10 pounds, and I'll be a bit happy on myself. Like, but will you? Like, is that really what's like necessary or required to get to that happiness state? Does that make sense? Yeah, so we have to look at it again, it goes back to the process, right? Start to understand, like the goal, the outcome isn't the happiness. What takes us there would be the bit, that prize, and I guess makes us more motivated and makes us more energetic towards that. And then goals are at odds with long-term change. If your goal is getting healthier, right, but your overriding goal is 5 kilos or 10 kilos, the 5 to 10 kilo initial goal you have is kind of against the long-term feeling of happiness or overall health. What I mean by that is if I train people for marathons, right, and they want to get fitter, they're like, I want to do a marathon in that in between time. It's like, sweet, well that marathon is just kind of like bashes against the long-term effects of health and what you want to achieve, right? If I'm trying to take someone through a marathon training, but a lot of them as hell, right? A lot of it like training 3, 5, 7 days a week, doesn't really go along in the same path as say the long-term goal that you want to achieve, which is like better happiness, better overall health. So sometimes like our goals clash. For sure we may want to lose weight, right? But the overriding goal is being fitter, being healthier, feeling more confident, right? So sometimes we kind of like put these two kind of like goals against each other really, and they don't really kind of work with each other. Goals are more for direction, but systems are for progress, basically. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So goals are fine to have. They give you like the kind of end goal, right? They give you the roadmap of where you need to get to, but the systems are for the progress. Like if we travel across America, right, and we put from one pin to the other, like that's your goal, you're gonna get there, right? But the process and the day-to-day stuff is what you need to do. You can't just think, I want to get here and decide to go and go. You will never know, right? You know what route to take, what I don't know, I-55, what it may be, routes, I don't know, where you need to stop, where you need to take gas, etc. All those little details is basically what's going to get you to the end goal, right? So sometimes it's better to take yourself or take our mind away from the kind of direction, the goal you want to focus on. Because at the end of the day, I think if you have a goal, you'll get there if you follow the systems, right? But you won't get to the goal by just following the goal. Like if we are playing football, obviously I'm a big football fan, and the goal is to win 1-0. Like I can't just stare at the scoreboard waiting for it to be 1-0, right? We have to do what's required, right? And England on the Sunday didn't do what's required to get to the goal. So that's kind of what I'm saying, right? If you have a guitarist, like they have to practice. They can't just like think, I'm gonna be a superstar. If I buy the best guitar, I'm gonna be the best person. It's not like you have to do what's required to get to that point. So in terms of like goals themselves, I guess it breaks down to 3 different things, right? Most people think like motivation and commitment is important. Like, if I'm going to be motivated, I'll get to my goal, right? Motivation is just like a wave. It comes and goes, right? You can't rely on motivation, but we can rely on other skill sets. Focus and awareness, like understanding maybe day to day, small snippets of focus and attention. Also awareness around our current habits, our current lifestyle, and maybe our current trajectory as well. Because as James Clear says, it's more important where we're going than where we've been. Yeah, so don't worry too much about what's happened in the past. It doesn't necessarily dictate the future. For sure, it may help a little bit, but the future is a different entity altogether. And then self-control and discipline. All right, and that kind of like, that's around food, that's around like most other things. In terms of yourself, when you say like weight loss, do you have like a certain specific kind of goal of like 5, 10, 20 pounds, or is it just kind of like, I'll see where it goes?
7 kgs.
7 kg. All right, sweet. So we're gonna break that down into like some microscope and some telescope goals. But have you kind of worked out how long that roughly take you to kind of get to that? Yeah? No?
Next 10 years.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we want to work on today as well, a little bit, right? Like I said, the goal is direction is great. That's fine. But I want to start breaking down into like microscope and telescope goals. So telescope being the long-term goal of the outcome, like whether it's 7 kilos, whatever it may be. And the microscope goals are the short-term goals, like day to day, week to week. What do I need to do to basically get to that standard, right? And that kind of comes around like awareness, strategy, and basic action. And the action could be just 5 minutes daily, right? It could be for yourself, 5 minutes a day, writing down maybe what you're going to buy the week after for food, right? If 7 kilos is your target, food is going to be important for that, right? It could be mapping out if you're going for meetings, etc., or you're for 2 hours of meetings, what can you have for food before or after? Or if you go into London, it could be a case of, for 5 minutes before I go to bed, I'm going to just quickly check. So a few of my clients are now traveling to London, right? Because of COVID is restricting, lifting. So for them, their action, basically for that day, the micro goal could be, I'm going to basically see where I'm going to meeting, and it could be see Canary Wharf. I'm going to understand and maybe just map out some restaurants that are nearby. I'm going to see what meals are there that are kind of generally healthier options, right? It's a really simple kind of basic step. In terms of like yourself as well, has anyone kind of heard of like Whoop goals at all or not? So you might have heard SMART goals. Yeah, like, so Whoop's a little bit different basically. So if you get your phones out or pads out, or phones, cool. We can start to write out these 4 things basically. So if you just write down like, what do I really want to achieve? Oh yeah, I don't actually rub that off, can I?
school.
Notepad and pen, there you go. It's the best way. Like, I write on my phone quite a lot, and if I write any emails or blogs, I write on my phone because it feels more comfortable. But if I need anything like memory, I have to write on a notepad. So write down, like, what do I really want? Question mark. And that's like the W of the WOOP. So WOOP is basically wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. All right, so it's a really simple strategy. Yeah, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. All right, so literally number one, you can peek at other people if you want. It's not an exam. Like, what's she writing? What's she writing? Right, what do you really want? Like, what's the ultimate goal? Like, what's the wish that you have? Okay, so if we talk about telescope goals, being long term, 3, 6, 12 months, write that down. Take your time on it as well, by the way. Like, I'm not saying you do it in 30 seconds, like, take your time. Am I still in the center? Am I like, just, I'll move it out of the way. Random thing. Can you go to my website actually, sambeagle.co.uk, and then there's like a value questionnaire. It's on the articles. It's like the third one down. So I just thought of something I should have thought about earlier.
Sam, what's that third one in brackets?
Obstacle. So what do I really want?
Yeah.
Okay, which is the wish. Why do I want this? I'm going to dig into that in a little bit more, like a lot more detail in a second, right? What will get in the way of that, the obstacle, and then what must I do today and tomorrow, basically the plan of action. Okay, so everything like microscope and telescope, the telescope goal is the top one and the microscope is the bottom one, like today and tomorrow, kind of the short term kind of goals. So you don't have to write down all 4 answers if you don't know them. You can literally write down one and we can kind of work through it. Yeah, that's it. That one. Sweet. And then if you scroll down to the bottom, keep going. There should be like questions, like points, bullet points. There you go. Goodness. Okay, sweet. So you're gonna jump in a second when I say, and ask those questions. Okay. All right. Does everyone have what they really want to achieve? It's cool if you don't. Like, what's your wish? Like, what's your ultimate goal? Like, to be a certain size or to look a certain way. This one's more like, yeah, this one is more like, what's the word? Specific, if that makes sense, right? It has to be like detailed. Okay? And then why do I want this? Which is more value orientated, right? Why, if you get to that point, like, why do you want that? What outcome would that give you? If you got all 4?
Yeah.
Sweet, okay. What will get in the way as well? Yeah, no.
It is food time.
It is good.
And
Yeah.
Just,
So explain a bit more about food. What do you mean by food? How will I get in the way?
so for me, temptations are a absolute.
What, is there a certain time of the day, certain emotions that you have?
Yeah, I am an emotional eater, and I think it's sometimes more than emotions. It's just actually I've not thought far ahead about the whole planning.
Yeah, sure.
Or I've not set myself up for success by, I haven't thought about it enough. And I know that when I do think about it, I'm really
Yeah, sure.
regimented.
Yeah, sure.
But when I haven't, then it's literally like grabbing
Grab and go.
yeah.
Sure. Okay. So that's your obstacle, right? Is to what? As in time availability, or like what triggers the emotion?
Stress.
Stress at work.
Yeah.
So what's the result you want from the food? How does the food help you with your stress?
Good question.
Take
I
it.
think,
Take your time.
When I get stressed, I need something to do to help me kind of
So distraction, right?
kind of, but it almost feels like it's helping me. Well, yeah, in a sense, yes, it's a distraction so that I've got that space between having this stressful piece, working at unraveling it somehow,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's got to be some sort of in between, and there needs to be a filler for that in betweener.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like so it's taking up time,
Yeah.
right? It's filling your head with something else. It's a distraction. So maybe that's obviously like a very short-term gratification, right? That's like you look at short-term, long-term gratification. The most short-term things that make us happy don't help us in long-term. Likewise, most things we like help us in long-term don't really help us in the short-term. So there's like you'll kind of get like a dopamine hit basically if you have certain foods. Is there certain foods you crave? Or it could be anything.
Literally, yeah. Literally.
So, yeah, I would say to yourself, like, really ask yourself the question of like, what does this food give me? Like, what am I really like aiming for this food? Or what result am I aiming out of this food? And like, take time about it and seriously consider it, and then start to understand maybe other things in your life that allow for that same experience. That's right. You ruined a nice moment. But then start to understand maybe, or or find other areas of your life, or actions you do, things that allow for that same result. All right, that makes sense. So food is one thing, right? That gives you X, Y, and Z. Is there other things in your life that still give you that same reward that you want from the food? Right? It'll take a time to do that. It'll take a while to do that, and you may not. Yeah, you probably won't think of it now, but like, start to really understand. What gives you that same reward, right? Really in the long term. Yeah, because you want the food for like support, I guess, distraction, etc. And there's many things that do that as well at that period of time. If they're convenient to you, right? If food is more convenient than most things, hence why you'll go for it straight away. And then so what we're getting away. So like the obstacle is, I guess, emotion around the food. Distracting emotion away from food is really important, and not having both together. And then what must you do today and tomorrow to kind of overcome that, right? So maybe a case for you, it's like understand what emotions you're trying to check off, kind of thing, if that makes sense. And also maybe it's a case of understanding your environment you're in, your kitchen, your desk, wherever it may be, and maybe putting that in a more supportive environment for you to dictate the long term rather than the short term. So yeah, it's literally a case of like almost like a kitchen makeover kind of thing, right? And be like, sweet, like how can I help myself up to success? Or if I keep triggering the same response, maybe it's not necessarily the food that's there, it's just the ability, it's just the fact that it's there, right? And the ease of it and the convenience of it makes it easy for me to do this, right? And it's like self-sabotage. So maybe taking it out of your kitchen or your environment for 30 to 50, 60 days, however long it needs to kind of unwire that brain pattern, then would help you in the long term. Does anyone mind sharing, like, you don't have to know necessarily what you want or wish or the outcome, but does anyone mind sharing like the obstacle and the plan? What that may be? Do you mind sharing? You don't have to.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. So obviously my wish would be to be a size 10, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously I've given myself up to about a year because I don't want to just rush into
Yeah, sure.
it and then lose a lot of it and then gain it. I just want to really get to the grips of what I was doing wrong that will help me to stay that size once I'm on that size.
Yeah, sure.
So that's my wish, and obviously the outcome is to look healthier. I am pretty happy to be myself. Don't need to lose weight to be happy.
No, sure.
Yeah. And what will get in the way, obviously, the planning. I'm still touch and go. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, because of the busyness of the family life, I guess, and work. So that's where I need to sort of put something. What must I do? It's sort of finding a way of how I can start to really plan my meals and stick to the meals that I've planned. Because when I have done it and I've stuck to it, it feels good.
Yeah, sure.
But then
So can
It
you?
takes one child to be sick and
Sure.
you're picking everything and anything and you're just...
Yeah, sure.
So I need to put something in place that if in case of any emergencies, I still can keep up and cope.
Okay. Do you know what that would look like then?
Pardon?
Do you know what that would look like? So if something did happen, how could you kind of plan around that?
So if I already have something in the fridge,
Yeah.
like let's say if I've already have fruit in the fridge, or if I have something that's already prepared, that will make it easy because I can quickly grab something. Because
Sure.
when you, especially like my daughter is asthmatic and sometimes she goes into these wheeze attacks. So it's a matter of grabbing something because when you're at the hospital, there's nothing healthy. You're gonna eat crisps,
Yeah.
you're gonna eat all sorts.
Yeah,
So
sure.
if I have something that's already prepared,
Yeah.
It's the
I know.
worst place, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's the worst place,
Exactly.
It is literally.
and more times than ever, we find ourselves in that situation, and half the time it's like, I'll just grab whatever that's at the hospital.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so it's a matter of, okay, I've got this, let me quickly pack a little bag. So when we're there,
Yeah.
at least I can
Sure.
sort of,
So almost it's a case of like even today or tomorrow, it could be writing some foods down that maybe would help you in that situation,
yeah.
and then making sure that on the shopping list and the days that you go for that as well,
Yeah.
right? And this is maybe the first things you pick up before anything else.
That's true.
All right, so it's already in your trolley before anything else, and then it sounds really stupid, right? But the more full your trolley is,
The less,
likely you are to go for other things, right? Yeah, exactly, right?
that's true.
The other things that, do you have the outcome and the wish and that? You don't have to share it, it's fine. But in terms of the outcome, I done a course with a guy a long time ago, and he spent like a lot of time being interrogated and all sorts, right? To really understand people's mindset and their values around life. So part of it was like some certain questions, right? So when we talk about why do I really want this? Because for a lot of people, that's the anchor. That's really what's gonna, I guess, keep them motivated, or if that's like a loose term, or at least consistent to that plan, if that makes sense. So do you mind asking those
that's fine.
questions?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you got one there, sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first, oh, can I take them?
That's
You
fine.
can read them out if you want. All right, sweet. So there's 10 questions. This will take a little bit of time. All right, we'll take it very slowly. Do you want to read? You can read them out if you want.
That's fine. Yeah. Do you want me to like explain them a little bit as well, or just read the questions?
Read the questions. I'll explain it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So the first one is, what do you spend your time doing?
So literally write 3 things down, basically. So day to day, what do you find your time doing? Sometimes it could be work. Yeah, it could be I don't know, looking on Instagram, social media. It could be working out. It could be strolling or walking in the Sainsbury's and Tesco's aisles.
Sleeping, obviously.
Sleeping.
Really
Yeah, sleep.
think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. Although sleep's got autonomous, so that should happen anyway.
Yeah.
So stuff like, yeah, work and sleep, maybe, I don't know, is going to be common anyway. So take your time. Have you written it down? Yeah, so you generally have like 3 things you do on a day-to-day basis, right?
The next one you got is, where do you spend most of your energy?
So on a day-to-day basis, like mental, physical energy, where do you spend most of it? All right, is it worrying about other people? Some people are. Some people are like, I don't know, distracted by family and friends and negative environment. Some people are spending their energy on social media, on their phone a lot of times. Check Instagram. Cool, got it? It's fine, take your time. Number 3.
What do you spend most of your money on?
What's that? Food? Vending machines in hospitals, maybe? They're like, yeah, you'll have certain things, right? For me, it's Nike and gym equipment, that's basically. And holidays. It's basically mine, although not recently. Cool. Number 4? Is it number 4 yet?
Yeah. We're number 4. Yeah, we've got 11 in total.
Oh, was it number
Yeah. What do you visually consume on a day-to-day basis?
What do you?
Visually consume on a day-to-day basis. So you're scrolling through Instagram, like checking stuff. Some people look at motivational quotes all day. Do you know what I mean? Some people are watching Netflix, TV. Some people are reading the news or newspaper. Some people are like computer, laptop, work screens. Some people are
Watching YouTube? Like
watching YouTube,
videos or-
videos or walking around nature. So what do you visually consume? Like what do you look at on most days? First thing in the morning, I have a really bad habit. I got out of it recently. I'm just scrolling through Instagram. Wake up, terrible habit of Instagram. What am I doing?
Yeah, so
Shocking.
I think that doctor on TikTok was saying that basically that the first thing you should get up in the morning is like have a glass of water, because obviously when you sleep, like you become sort of dehydrated because obviously you haven't been chewing for a while. And he was saying obviously about like the light and stuff that your phone emits. So now I kind of like 6 o'clock alarm goes off, like hit it, try not to snooze, because obviously snoozing like starts putting you back into that sleep cycle, which kind of makes you feel worse. So you kind of just got to click it in your head that you could wake up and you go, right, day started, I always have a glass of water next to the bed, have the water, don't touch the phone, like just start getting ready.
Straight into it, yeah.
All of a sudden, like now I get out for work and I'm kind of like ready in like 10-15 minutes, as before I'd be like,
Do you have a shower though?
no, I don't. Yeah. I always shower in the evenings.
Do you shower in evenings?
Yeah, because like, then when I get into bed I feel fresh and I sleep.
I have a shower in the morning and evening, but fair enough. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I think as well, if you do put snooze on, right, it's the first habit of the day that you've already said no to, and that's like the most frustrating thing. Like if you're wanting to win the day, right, and start well on the right foot, and you press snooze, it's like I'm automatically saying no. I'm automatically saying I don't want to get better. I'm automatically saying I'm not ready for the day, right, which isn't kind of again the position we want to be in. So have you kind of got that written down?
Yeah.
Cool.
So the next one he's got is what do you think about?
What do you think about on a day-to-day basis?
Being a millionaire.
Yeah. So money, maybe money. Money motivates a lot of people. Got loads of battery, it's fine. When I do this like thing with people, we go like deep level with like a one-to-one, like, and some people break down, start crying. We won't do it like that deep today, all right? But some people start crying because they start getting emotional. Forewarning you won't. It's fine.
Next one is what do you envision?
What do you see yourself doing? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you think of in the future? Or what do you think about the future? Go on, next one.
What do you talk to yourself?
About, sorry, I should say, what do you talk to yourself about? My bad.
I was kind of reading that. What do you
Like-
I thought it meant like talk to yourself, like how do you like? Yeah,
Is that next one?
no, positive, negative. Next one. What do you
Oh yeah.
talk to?
Oh, sorry, how do you talk to yourself? Sorry. Yeah, what do you talk to yourself about and how do you talk to yourself about? Is it negative? Is it positive? Are you thinking about work, anxiety, stress? Are you thinking about maybe stuff in the future? Are you thinking about your kids, your family? Yeah, you're talking to yourself, saying you're good enough, you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, you will make it. Maybe it's your weight, or it's your fitness levels, or it's financial, or it's your career. Oh, that should be that one. Oh, ignore the positive and negative. Oh, actually, yeah, we can ask that question.
Okay,
Are you more of a positive and negative person?
yeah.
Like, again, think about these as well. Don't just write down like what you want to listen to, if that makes sense. Write down like what you're try and spend a little bit of time thinking about it as well. Makes sense. Don't just think what you want to write down, or write down what you should think, or what you think others should think what you should write down. Does that make sense? It's been a long day. Been a long day. I'll stop. Cool. And then, are you more of a?
Yeah. So the next one is positive or negative. So like in yourself, are you more of like a positive thinking person? Are you like a negative thinking person? I guess it's the kind of glass half empty, glass
Half full?
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Do you run towards something, or do you run away from something as well?
I don't run.
Yeah.
Fast.
I crawl. Yeah. I crawl.
I wish I'd even
Just like that. Just like that. I'll just stay where I am, yeah? Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, yeah. It's sad but true.
Yeah.
I'm literally stagnant. It's, yeah.
Okay. That's fun as well. So you can write that.
Yeah, because being aware is just a good thing. Like even just being aware of that position is a good place to be.
Yeah. Sweet. Next one.
How do you talk to others?
Like, oh, okay.
Depends if I'm driving or not.
Again, you positive, negative? Are you, also how and also what you're talking about as well. I guess I should write as well, shouldn't I? Yeah. So how, also what you're talking to others about as well. When you talk to others, you haven't seen them a long period of time, what are some kind of go-to conversations you have? Is it family driven? Is it career driven? Is it health, fitness, maybe your happiness, maybe stress levels, etc.? Like write that down as well. Yeah. So we've got 2 questions left.
Feels like a mock exam.
Wait for the real one.
Instead of mock exam.
Yeah, I think it's important to be aware, right? It's important to really understand, like, hey, why you're here, like, what are you actually doing to make change or create change. Sure, it's good coming and that, but like, what really sets like this place apart, being you being here than others, right? Or not doing it, if that makes sense. We're gonna break it down in a second.
The next one you got is what goals do you set yourself?
Health goals, career goals, family goals. So I was around my friends the other day, and he's got 1 kid, 2 dogs, and his wife Sarah has a goal of 7 kids and dogs between them, and that's like just her goal. She's like, I want 7 kids and dogs. I can have 4 kids, 3 dogs, or 3 kids, 4 dogs, or 5 kids, 2 dogs. She already wants a puppy, so she's like, I'm gonna have 3 dogs at least. So like that's her goal. So it's family. And it could be health, career, family. It could be holidays, vacations. It could be breaks. It could be relationships. It could be financial stuff. It could be like what's the word? Material stuff. Like I want to buy this or do that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
What's the question?
What goals do you set yourself? Almost forgotten, didn't I? How many steps have gone today?
I think quite a few just walking around here.
Oh yeah, I have, yeah. 15,000. I'm feeling my knees are like walking around like this. Okay. And then the last one
Who
is...
inspires you?
Just write one person for this, really. It could be husband, parents, some, I don't know. There's trying to think. David Goggins inspires me.
Yeah, I like David Goggins.
Yeah, just go hard, go home.
David who?
Goggins. The guy is just like a militant. He just does anything full on, even if he doesn't want to do it. He's the only person I know in the world who would just do something when he says when he was here to do it. He's like famous on Instagram. He used to be a Navy SEAL. Has like got records for like pull-ups. So he's done like 2,500 pull-ups in 24 hours.
Yeah.
He's run the most amount of 100 marathons in a row. He's got a crazy amount of records basically he's done. He's come back from a lot of illnesses as well. He lost 100 pounds in 30 days, 150 pounds in 30 days, didn't he? So he wanted to get in the army and he was 150 pounds overweight, something like that. It's something ridiculous. And he dropped 150 pounds in 30 days to get into it. It's a joke. So he said, I started myself whole 30 days, and he went to the gym, and he's doing like 100 leg press, 100 pull-ups, he couldn't do pull-ups, but 100 squats, 100 chest press, and was like 45 minutes, 2 hours on treadmill every day. And he's just like, he's a big guy though, and he just literally ate nothing, he said, for like 30 days. Don't do that, right? That was excessive.
Literally ate nothing.
He said he didn't eat anything for 30 days. Just like, that was it. Water, that was it. He must have eaten something, but sweet. So, do we have the answers? Cool. Now, next step is going over your answers and just finding like 1, 2, or 3 like common answers. Makes sense? You'll generally find some like commonalities, right, between them. So circle the one that appears the most often first. So count them up. there'll be one that appears most often, right? And that'll be priority number 1. Do you have it on your phone? The next bit.
Oh no.
So step number 2, right?
Yeah.
And then step number 3 and step number 4. Do you have them written down? Do you know your top priority?
Yes.
Do you know your second one?
Yes.
And your third one?
Yes.
Do you? Okay, sweet. Cool. You don't have to share them, it's totally fine. Because I guess they'd be...
It's the 3 most common,
Yeah.
most topics that are coming up in
Yeah.
the answers. Yeah.
Some are going to be quite similar, right? So you can kind of like bunch into one, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about McDonald's and you think about food quite a lot, you can obviously be the same one. Right. Thank you, ma'am. I wrote this like 4 years ago. Yeah, and I just refreshed it. Cool. So, do you have your top one? I'm going back off this because it's been a while since I've done it. But, all right. Do you mind? Does someone anyway mind sharing their top goal? Don't have to. It's totally fine. I can make one up. But you
Well,
work.
with me, yeah, that's the coming up.
Okay. For what so I guess work will be quite common, right? Is that a motivator for you, driver for you work or not?
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, sweet. So, right, by improving your health, like physically, mentally, and socially, how will your work improve, right? Or how can you? Is it more career or is it just more work that you're talking about?
Well, there is just like in a sense of like, what do you think of every day, or what do you see every day?
Yeah,
It's
sure.
Just like
Okay.
it's emails for work, phone call, work. Everything.
What's the next one
It's
after
just
that?
Like this. Dog.
Dog. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
like, well, for the other people as kids,
Yeah,
well,
sure.
I don't want them, so my
Yeah,
kid
sure.
is my dog. So it's just
So
like,
the dog means a lot to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sweet.
that's where everything got like
Yeah.
other people put their energy in the
Yeah, perfect.
springs, I put the energy into
What dogs do you have? What dogs do you have?
Pug Shih Cross.
What, 1, 2?
One.
Okay, cool.
One is enough.
Yeah, that's sure. So like, if it's kids or dogs, right, or whatever it may be, like how will your relationship with your dog or with your kids, etc., improve by you being physically, mentally, and socially better off? So many. There's going to be like when I done this, I was right now at 200, 300, 400 different things. Like there's going to be so many, right? If you have more energy, so like say the answer would be like, oh well, I'll have more energy for my kids, right? Well, that's amazing. So what does that energy give you? Yeah. Well, it means I can go X, Y, and Z. I can do this and I can do that. That's sweet. Well, if you can do that, like what memories can you create? Well, how will that help your relationship with your kids, right? Or with your dog, etc.
Yeah, no, we're just like dependables.
And it's, but it just goes on. It snowballs and snowballs and snowballs on, right? So I guess we won't do it too much now because it does take a long time, right? But start asking yourself those kind of questions, right? And you can go down a rabbit hole of it. So, for instance, there's a lady that wanted to get in shape. I trained maybe 3 or 4 years ago. She's like, "Hey Sam, like I want to get in shape. I want to lose weight." Well, speak weight loss is like most people's goal. Like, why weight loss? Like, and we asked these questions, and it was because she wanted to have memories, basically in her life. Like, she didn't have many memories because she was kind of overweight. She wasn't active too much. I'm like, sweet. Okay, well, what could you do if you were active? Like, what memories could you create? She's like, well, I want to go bungee jumping, I want to go skydiving, I want to go to Grand Canyon. I'm like, sweet. Well, okay, if you go to Grand Canyon, and what? And he kind of leads on and leads on and leads on, right? And then she went to Grand Canyon, went bungee jumping, and went skydiving when she got in better shape, right? But those kind of snowball effect, and it's like, sweet. Okay, now you have those memories. Who can you share those memories with? Like, I want to have kids when I'm older. I want to share them experiences. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can go really deep into it, if that makes sense.
Even things like taking photos. You know, when you're like a bit overweight, it's like, you know, take me out of it. You're
Yeah,
really
sure.
you're on holiday and you're trying to like make memories.
100%.
But you're like, no, I don't want to be in the picture.
Yeah.
And then you look back at them and everybody else is in the picture and you're like,
You have no memories. Yeah, you're not there essentially, right? And
I
you
do that now. 'Cause
you have the memory,
Yeah.
but
I'm
you
really
can't
keen on
share it, right?
pictures, but I won't do that because of the fact that everyone else looks better and I'm not confident in the way I look, so you kind of shy away from it.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah. So that's a huge thing, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you're not in the picture, how does that make you feel looking back at them? Like, and
Yeah, it makes you feel sad.
yeah, if you're in them, then how that make you feel, right? If you were more confident, all right, not you could take pictures, but what else could you do if you're more confident on the beach? There's other things. I can wear different clothes, I can do different X, Y, and Z, I can maybe wear different dresses, I can go out for maybe different restaurants, I can go swimming in the sea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, who can you take with you when you go swimming? Like, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can maybe go to this vacation, this holiday. I really want to go to like this place, but I don't want to because I know I have to wear a swimsuit, etc. Right? So you can go, you can really kind of like, you can go really deep into it, basically. Yeah. So then that's like actually is what I put here, basically. And then literally, all you need to do basically after that, and again, I would spend like 15, 20 minutes, like really deep diving into that stuff and really just starting to figure out really like, if it is memories, if it is pictures, if it's like dogs or kids or holidays, whatever it means to you, right? Really kind of go into them and start asking questions. Well, okay, well, why will that change? Well, why will that change? Why will that change? Because each answer you have were like 4, 5, 10, 20 different layers to it. And they spread off into different branches and different trees, if that makes sense. And then what I would then do is circle the 3 that mean the most to you. Right, and I would just have them around you on a day-to-day basis. When you wake up in the morning, maybe it's the first thing you write when you journal. Like, it's really basic idea. When I left studio, right, in 2016, like the big thing I wanted to do was have another studio. So every day for like 2 years, I just wrote down, I have a studio in here, I have a studio here, and I told everyone I have that studio, I have a studio, I have a studio, I will do it, I'll do it. And for sure, right, that's the outcome goal that I had. It's a little bit different from people's fitness stuff. But I was like, what's the process to do that point, right? I had to move out of the area because Slough Council wouldn't let me go back into their space, basically. I set up another space in Northwood. I was like, cool, I need to save money because having this space is like quite expensive. So how much does that need to cost? And I broke it down. Some people I need to chat to as well. Certain suppliers I have to talk to. Windsor Borough Council obviously have to create connections with the networking and stuff like that. So you just broke it down a different level. Okay, whatever how the studio was they give me. When I want to go back on more holidays, ahead on, etc. Maybe go away for a week, 2 weeks here and there. And I literally just done this process, and that was it. Different from health and fitness, but more for like fitness and studio stuff, right? So yeah, it kind of works, right? If you really do it, and then if you see it on a day-to-day basis, and you're telling yourself that, you start to change your identity and maybe the mindset you're adopted over the past few years. Yeah. So, and then you can like almost from that, like I said, journal on a day-to-day basis, right? Based off the kind of like anchors you had. Right, how motivated were you? How's your mindset towards that today on a scale of 1 to 10? Like 10 being like really motivated towards it, mindset was like 100%, and 1 was like, okay, really poor, if you know what I mean, right? How's your daily habit? So certain things you've written down here, what must you do daily? Like, how's your habit today? Did you succeed? Did you fail? Like, was it a 10 out of 10 I've done it? Was it maybe a 9 or 8? And what we want to do is start creating patterns around that. If you didn't do it, if that made sense, if that habit wasn't so great, okay, well, what got in the way of it? Maybe what was the obstacle that basically stopped you from doing it if it's a 2 or 3? Right, and how can you bring it back, and how can you kind of get around to planning that to make it a little bit better next day? It's quite basic, right? And then we can start looking at your focus and awareness. Like if yours was, you're talking about emotional eating, right? How was your awareness around the food you're eating, right? Or if it's your dogs, like, have you neglected them all day?
Like it's with,
Yeah.
like a dog is, I think it's just like
No, but it's,
just a funny thing happened. No, it's just like, well, I just want to go back to, because like with the emotional eating and stuff.
Yep.
I think it's just like for a lot of people it is. I mean, I found it's just like it's a part of a control, so it's one thing you have a control over. It's
Yep.
open your fridge and it goes like, when the days are crashing around you, it goes like, everything gone wrong, you go like, at least I can have that chocolate. That will make me feel better. And this is like you controlling this tiny little bit of happiness. But
Sure.
then shop is just across the road. I can have a little bit more of it.
Yeah, sure.
That's where you need to stop yourself from doing. And I notice exactly that I do that. I mean, I told you on Monday that I struggle with my mental health. That's why I'm here. Because it's just like I need to go through the whole process. So I do like, so I joined the gym, I joined you guys, I got like paid for the nutritionist, I'm doing like a cognitive behavioral therapy and all the rubbish, but still kind of.
you will be, and it's
Yeah, but this is the thing. It's just like when you're saying dig in, how far deeper?
yeah, like, as much as you want to take it, I guess, right? Like people I've been with, people when I've done it, like it was on a course, is like quite interrogative. Is that the right word? And some people like go really deep, but then their person who was doing courses like push the needle a little bit more and just poke him a little bit more. And I gotta start breaking it down. Like, hey man, that's a bit too far. Like, just go. And you could go really deep into it, right? Because there's going to be some connection in some way, right? Someone's going to be sparking you thinking, actually, do you know what? That's actually the reason why. And maybe it's not the surface level, I want to lose weight, right? Which everyone has, but once you're like, okay, that's why. And it'll be like, it's clicked now, if that makes sense, right? And I guess you'll understand that when you get there, if that makes sense. And then you won't need to poke any further. Does that kind of answer it or not? A little bit? But yeah, you can go.
No, I mean, it's just like, I know exactly why I'm doing this for. Because
Good.
it's just like, well, it's not bullying, but it is kind of where people go. It's where the country I'm from, because everybody's like this. And when you go back home, it's like, oh, for Christ's sake. I don't tell you that you're just like a skin and bones, just leave me alone.
Sure.
And this is
You-
what you get.
No,
It's just
sure.
like, this is it's norm in there.
Yeah.
Where it's, but
You talk about control, right?
yeah, it's just like you're going home to the family and the family goes empty.
Yeah, the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It is,
just
right?
That's where I had one of the things where what will get in the way, and I said friends and family.
It's
That's
yeah,
it,
sure.
friends and family, because like they go like, oh.
You can't.
It's just like,
no, sure.
How you stop reacting to them? That's where it's just like that's so many times they throw me off the path. So you're doing things, you're losing weight, and people go like, oh my god, yeah, you're doing well, you look great. And then you see somebody from the past, and you're like, oh, you're not as skinny as you used to be. You're like, oh, drugs. Like,
Yeah, sure.
it's just like, really?
Yeah, I
You're-
actually had
yeah.
that happen to me over the weekend, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Break
And
your
I
nose,
mean, seriously,
please.
and I'm thinking, so I was so demoralized, and I said to my husband, oh my days, I just feel like I just want to stay in my blankets and just cover my head. You know, but he was like, no, you can't do that. You can't let people do that to you. You gotta get up. But I think it would then take other people to sort of motivate you, to sort of give you that pep talk and that encouragement. Because you do meet people like that, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Or, you know, like obviously my husband is always like, oh, you're looking really good. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not too sure which eyes you're seeing with, because obviously people see different to what you're seeing.
Yeah,
Obviously
sure.
For encouragement purposes, I get it. But then when you then meet people like that, is to deal with that emotion.
But then you'd believe people who tell you that you look fat.
Oh yeah.
Than those who like saying like you
Oh,
look really
definitely.
good. You go like, well,
Definitely.
you're lying. You're saying the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no, sure.
something in the mind.
There's a couple.
I find that if you because I did a mental health course awareness, and I was a first aider for mental health at ASOS, where I used to work, and a lot of that is toward purely because when we hear negatives, because we're so used to saying it to ourselves, it's kind of easiest for us to sort of take that and say, yeah, that's right. But actually when somebody says something, nice to us, because we're not used to hearing that tone of voice, it's really hard for us to accept. So one of the things you said was, actually change that whole how do you speak to yourself. It's so important when you talk to yourself that you actually do put a positive spin on it. Like, if you're saying something negative to yourself, you're going to get used to hearing it and accepting the negatives more than anything else. So if we do sort of change a sentence, whether it's, like the smallest sentence, I think, so one of the ones that I started off with was something, I'm not good enough. That was my constant, like, I'm not good enough. And I had to change that. I had to change that in a dialogue to something like, I'm working on myself. And every day, it was not a case of I'm not good enough, I'm work in progress. And actually it's got more of a positive influence over me than actually saying I'm not good enough.
Yeah, 'cause I think one dismisses it, right?
Yeah.
And one's open. So
Yeah.
you will dismiss yourself in that aspect, saying that, right? The other one leaves it open to interpretation in the future. That's a really important point. Like, being aware of that, the very negative, is going to be really important, because you'll say so used to it, it just happens naturally. A couple of things. Number one, that happens quite a lot. If you think back in the daytime, the reason why we came around today is because, and the reason why we maybe highlight those negative feelings more so is because that's what made us survive all the years, right? So our mindset is more adapted to negative than positive. If someone said that's something negative in the past, that made us survive, right? That helped us survive. So we're more inclined to seeing that. We have 100 positives in a day, one negative, and we're just draining that one negative, right? Because it will help us back in the day. Secondly, most times when people say an emotion, it's an inner deflection of what they're thinking themselves. It's not necessarily you, it's someone displaying their own inner insecurities onto other people because they can't handle that conversation with themselves. So rather leave that conversation with you to handle yourself. That makes sense, right? So then it's taking it off their mind. If I say, like, Stephen, hey man, like, bulking up or what? I'm like, because probably 2 days ago, someone told me that as well. Hey man, you lost a bit of weight. And I'm like, fuck man, maybe I have. Maybe I'm not losing.
Oh, I get that.
So I'll display it onto Stephen, right? Because now it's out of my mind, as in Stephen's. It's a nice way for me to deflect that, what someone's drawn to me, to other people. Secondly, and I think as well, it takes a long time to do, but if someone's not directly helping you in your career, in your life, in a relationship, or paying you, then don't give a fuck what they say, because they're not part of your life. And they'll never influence your life going forward. Like if someone says to me, like here, oh, why are you open up a studio for? I'm like, well, hold on a sec, like, I don't know you. You don't pay me to do what I do. Like, I don't need to listen to your advice, right? Because it has no reflection on what I want to do in the future. So it's almost, you have to, it's hard, but dismiss that, right? Because they're not going to help you in the future in any way, shape or form. They're not part of your life or your own identity of who you want to be. Sure, it may be in the past, it could have been in that, but whoever you want to be in the future, maybe their own insecurities and feelings and emotions can't be part of yours, if that makes sense. So you have to, it's really hard. Dismissing that is really hard to do, right? But it is most of the time, and in the inner insecurity they have in their mind that they're just trying to display on yours because they can't deal with that conversation themselves. I used to have it in football all the time, like playing in goal, and used to, like you make really good saves, right? And then you like one mess up, but then someone will come back 3 weeks later and be like, oh man, you remember that mistake you made the other day? I'm like, fuck, that's 3 weeks ago, man. 3 weeks ago. Like, leave it out. I've done 20 saves since then. But yeah, it takes a long time to deal with that, right? And you'll find it more so in health and fitness, right? Because when most people fail in life, it's health and fitness. That's it. No one really mentions like about your money because it's a kind of closed off subject. No one tells you about relationships really or whatever, a little bit. But most of the time it's health and fitness, right? Because hey, I don't feel happy with myself, so do you know what? I don't need to be happy either. So I'm gonna put it onto you. So if they do that, then most of the time it's because they're not happy themselves. At the same time, if someone's in a better shape than you, right, and someone's physically who you're looking to achieve, do they ever say that stuff to you? They don't, do they? Like, most of the time, like if someone in my head, right? So actually the other day, I had a conversation with someone about this studio, and someone's on Instagram, and one lady like had like hundreds of thousands of followers, right? She's verified on Instagram. She's like, hey Sam, like I've seen your studio, like what's the deal with it? And I was like, oh, like I'm not judging, just maybe wasn't the best personal trainer on their feed. Like I'm just saying that, right? And she's like, I want to use it. And I was like, oh, we only do classes, workouts, and that's it. Can't come in on your own. She's like, oh, well, I'm a master PT. I don't need any PT. Like I know what to do myself, and I just want to use it myself. Right, that's fine. We just don't do that. She's like, yeah, but you don't understand. And she's like, no, but I'm a master PT. I should just be able to use the place. And I was like, hold on a sec. Like, where's that come from? I was like, well, you can't use it. I'm really sorry, can't help you. But I've seen you're a member of 5-Star or Snap Fitness. Just if you want to use it in your own time, use that. It's just quite aggressive on it. I was like, where's this aggression coming from, right? And then on the flip side, on the flip side, I had this other guy who I follow a lot of people in the health fitness industry who are kind of really well respected. And sometimes I'll try and break conversations with them. Sometimes I've seen some respond, some won't, right? And there's this guy that started liking a few of my posts and started following me. I checked him out. I was like, oh, this guy's amazing, right? Like, really cool guy. Maybe like less followers, but really high up in his niche of fitness. And there's people that I follow him and ask him for advice. Then I messaged him. I was like, dude, man. I was like, amazing. Like, thank you so much for following me. Like, I didn't know this guy who he was. And then I had a conversation with him. He was like, dude, I really love your feed, love your posts, love your energy. Like, this is amazing. Keep it up. Right? And then I was looking at his like profile of where he's been, and that like really high up, right? And you can see like he's bringing people up to his level. And I don't mean it disrespectfully. Lady with loads of followers doesn't get much attention on her feed. Not really followed by any PTs that I know of at all. Like no PTs follow her. Literally, I was like scrolling through, look at the verified, look at people who I know well, and that. And you look at her schedule, like it's quite open. I just dug in. I was like, hey, where's this coming from, right? And I was like, okay, well maybe you can see, right? Someone maybe not be so happy with their own health and fitness, their own company or business, wherever it's going, and so they're attacking me for that. No reason, maybe because they're not happy in themselves, right? But the other person who's happy, right, who's followed by a lot of people and gets a lot of interaction, is like, hey man, like build you up, pull you up, let's go. There's a guy here who I follow quite a lot, and in America, like 3 guys, and I used to send them messages, hey man, like I'm checking this space out. These guys that are like, worth like millions and millions of pounds, right, have hundreds of like members, have courses, education platforms, know the best guys in the industry. And they've got like, say, 500,000 followers, some 70,000 followers. And they'll always spend time with me, always have time for me in an Instagram message. There were some people who voice note me back. I was like, what the hell? Like, who voice notes you back? Someone was like, and I was like, amazing, thank you so much. And he just messaged me back. The other day, I spoke to one of them, Andrew Coates, on the podcast. I was like, hey man, can we have a chat sometime? He's like, yeah, sweet. So he's had me an hour. And this same guy has like, so we do like precision nutrition, like education, like courses of that. And he basically builds out a structure for them and does other stuff, like really high level stuff that he knows the best people in the industry, but he still creates time for me. So basically what I'm referring to is like those people that are where they want to be will never pull you down. But those that maybe aren't where they want to be will always try and pull you down to their level because they feel like they can't get above you. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember where I was, but hope no, that's fine. Yeah, I went off a tangent, but yeah, I just screw those people basically. And then
that's what we all need to learn, isn't it? Just like
you have
react.
Yeah,
It's just like
you can't change other people.
Yeah.
Like you can change yourself, sure, and how you react to that, but you can't change someone else's thoughts and feelings. Like you can't.
It's really hard to. How would you not react? How? Just like even like for a second, you just go taken aback, but then you start processing it. But it's you're already there. They already slapped you in the face, so you're standing there going, whoa, that didn't happen. I don't give a crap about you. Sorry. And
Yeah, just.
but you already received it. So it's
Yeah,
just
sure.
like it's sometimes it feels like you're walking around with the sign, just like say something bad to me.
Yeah, no,
It's just
sure,
like,
sure.
like,
But maybe just deflect that conversation to themselves instead. Just say
Like
that.
that, have you read the Chimp Paradox?
Yeah, Chimp Paradox, right?
So it's basically like there's different parts of your brain. So like the chimp is the one that reacts straight away. So if someone says something to you that you don't like, the chimp will like act out and the chimp will react. Whereas the other part is the computer and then what's the third one?
Not lizard. Computer.
There's three. There's the kind of an emotional one as well. That's more. I'm nearly sure there's three.
Stephen Peters, right? Is Stephen Peters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the computer one then is like basically it takes all the facts.
The logical one.
Yeah, it's logical. Whereas the chimp is the one that like just jumps. Whereas if you can pull that chimp back and kind of go rein it back in and actually think logically and reasonably about something, it's a lot easier to kind of hold yourself back and kind of go, actually, I'm like overreacting right now. I need to take a step back. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
That's a good book to read.
It's a very thick book though, but yeah.
It's a really thick book.
Yeah, I just listened to it on Audible and it
Oh,
wasn't
did you?
too
Cool.
bad.
Yeah, sure. That's Audible. You've also got Psycho-Cybernetics as well. Is another one.
That sounds more intense.
Yeah, it was actually written by a PT. Yeah. He was a PT. Yeah, Psycho-Cybernetics is also a good one as well. Talks about similar aspects to that.
Yeah.
But
Look up what the third one is.
Yeah, I am because it's bugging me now.
Yeah. It is.
I saw him live actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to there's a School of Life in London basically, and you can go and see.
The Satellite of Not.
Yeah,
That's
Mark
a very
Manson.
good one as well.
Read that. It's an easy read, and it really does give you those
If
skills
you-
of actually. giving
I'll bring it in for you.
the satellite of not giving a
Fuck yeah.
no.
I'll.
coming up
No. That's How to Be Awesome.
Oh yeah.
So Mark Manson,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's who it is.
he's a really good writer. He started in like relational help, but he went into like self-help. Really good person. He's also got another one.
Oh, I know.
Hope is fucked. Basically, something like, what's it?
Everything is
Everything is fucked. That's it.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
I'll bring it in for you. If you haven't got it, I'll bring it in for you. That one, if you want to read it. Like it's a good book.
Yeah.
It just basically tells you like, don't give a fuck on anything else. Just focus on yourself. Or you can go to 15-minute. There's like a 15-minute slip of anyway. I can't remember. That's it. But like it is, you can spin that conversation on yourself. So that you can say, hey, I'm actually doing really well with my health right now. How's yours going? And just ask them a question. And they'll be like, oh, take it back. Just ask them a question back and see what they say. Most of the time they'll be like, yes, going fine, thanks. And you're like, yeah, and they'll change subject straight away, right? Because they don't want to say. If you ask them the question again, oh, actually, like I was doing real, actually I'm doing X, Y, and Z, so how's yours going? Then most of the time they will change the subject straight away. And then you know if it's genuine or if it's actually something they're not really comfortable on themselves. So yeah, just spin on them, bitch.
Love it.
Yeah. I've sworn a few times, who cares? Anyway, so then weekly, what we can start to do is break it down, all right, is, okay, what should I start doing this week? All right, maybe it's a Sunday you reflect. Sunday, every Sunday morning, okay, what should I start doing this week to get me to my goal of like that wish, all right, or the outcome that you have, yeah? Then what should I stop doing? Okay, well, actually there's a few things I've done this week, probably I shouldn't do. Maybe it's like I had 3 glasses of wine Friday night instead of 2, maybe chop one back. And then what should I continue to do? Maybe it's coming to exercise. Maybe it's getting up straight away off the snooze, not pressing the snooze button, right? Maybe it's not scrolling for Instagram. It's just little things, really, really small. And these are your kind of telescope goals, the microscope goals, so the short-term goals, right, which help you in the long term, right? But if you can focus on these, and after working on all this, that's just a process that nudges you forward to the kind of goal that you have that you're not so focused on, right? But you will get there by focusing on the processes rather than the goals. What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? What should I continue to do? Is it still going, or is it dead now? Is it going?
You
Cool.
know, like the other thing I was going to ask you is, so you know when you've been doing well and you eaten well and all of that, and then you just have that one thing that you're not supposed to.
Stop at that one thing.
I don't stop it.
So awareness.
I go into the rabbit hole and I just
Yeah, sure.
and I'm like, I'm gonna stop this, but I can't stop it.
What you spoke about, right? How you talk to yourself at that moment in time. Being aware at that time. Okay, look, I've had this. Will it lead to this in the future? It sounds really weird. You just need to do it once. It's the most basic thing. People have a big build-up about it. It's just that you just need to do it once. You need to stop that cycle once, and then it's a lot easier to say it the second time, right? And then the third time, the fourth time goes a lot easier. What I always say is 1's a mistake, but 2 becomes a habit, basically, right? Don't let one bad meal ruin 3 to 4 to 5. Yeah, 1 just happens. No one can be consistent. If we look at on a day-to-day basis, let's say actually you have your meals, and it's like you have 3 meals a day. 7 days a week is what, 21 meals? 21 meals? Yeah, so you have 21 meals. Is it 21? It's 21. Yeah. Jeez, man. Is it 27? 3 times 7? 7.2, yeah.
Oh my god, guys!
I know. It's 9:06. Come on.
It's 9 o'clock.
I was up at
I thought that was a trick question. And
no. That doesn't look like a 2 either, does it? That doesn't look like a 2 either.
What is that?
No one knows anymore. So 80% of 21 is what? 18? No, 17. Is it 17? 15, isn't it really?
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 16, isn't it? So basically what I'm saying to you, right, is if you eat really well...
16.8.
Okay, thank you.
17.
We'll say 17, right? So if, for instance, you roughly eat 3 meals a day, right? And then we break it down and we say to you, hey, look, don't be perfect, just be consistent, right? So over the course of the week, that looks like 21 meals that you have in a week, right? If you're eating 3 times a week. Or if you're eating 5 times a day, oh shit, 35. Yeah, we then know, right? We then know that, okay, well look, 4 of those meals can be quite bad. All right, it doesn't disrupt the pattern. So I'm still eating 16, 17 meals quite good. So even if you eat 4 bad meals in a week, it's not the end of the world because you're still over 80%. Or you're still 80%. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you could go 4 days, you can go all in on a Saturday, although it's not the best, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then roll over to Sunday morning, have bad breakfast, I say bad in a loose term, then just jump back onto it Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, and then you're back on the game. And you haven't disrupted any of that pattern 80%. It's not actually it's not that bad in the day, is it?
No.
Like if you think about it, yeah. So, some people I train eat 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day. So for them, it's like 35 meals in a week they roughly have, and then 26 of them could be good meals. The rest of them can be quite bad. No, really? When you break it down, you probably have like 2 bad meals in a week. You're probably shooting over the 80% already. You're just focused on those two bad meals. Yeah. But yeah, at the same time, like if you do that, stop for a moment. Like just be aware. If you are snacking that time, stop, take a deep breath, take yourself out of that situation, go in another room, have a glass of water. Then if you still need and desire that food, then I have it. But that would be my process.
Yeah, there would be a whole lot of cakes.
Have you
Yeah.
given yourself
My
boundaries?
husband started it because I was doing well. Remember we talked
Yeah.
about cakes, and I hadn't had cakes and pastries. I was like, goodness me, I'm doing well. Then we went to Harold's food section. Oh my days, don't even go there. Do you want that? Do you want that? And I'm just like, oh, you know, like a kid in a candy shop. That's what I became, and I just picked up a whole lot of cakes. I got home and I'm thinking, let me just eat one and I'll be fine. No, that became the whole weekend, and I was just eating cake, and I was like, I need to go to Tesco and buy more cake.
Yeah, like,
So yeah,
but it's happened. Like as dismissive as it sounds, that happens.
yeah.
Yeah, don't tie yourself over that particular thing. It's happened, and move on. Like the next day's the next day. Like just move on from it. I know that sounds really easy to say. But yeah, that happens. I think sometimes, all right, when we get in this mindset of doing really well, right, and it's like win, win, win every single day, every single day, every single day. Then one slip up, it's like, whoa, it's a big slide.
Yeah, I
It's like-
feel like that.
it-
It felt like, oh my goodness, yeah.
But if you look at the grand scheme of things, maybe it's 48 days of doing really well and one day not doing so well. So out of 49 days, you had 48 in a row and one bad day, or 2 bad days, right? So out of 48, you got 2 bad days. So out of 50, you'd still done 48 good days. If we talk about that consistency, what's 80% of 50? 40? Yeah, fucking maths. You still got another 8 days, really, the grand scheme of things. In that aspect, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
You still save yourself 6 days. I'm not saying, hey, think of it in terms like that, but that's just a nice breakdown to see, right? 2 bad days, but 48 good days. Who cares?
I find with a similar situation that, you know, when you've been really, really good and then you have a slip up, and then that slip up kind of turns into a month of slip ups or a week of slip ups, and then by that point you've kind of missed out like on a whole week of YouFit and everything else, and it's kind of like that whole getting back into that system of actually eating better, going into your workouts and actually showing up and present. I need to work out how to change that slip up to a day and not a whole week, or literally, especially when stressed.
I think what we spoke about at the start.
Do you get that as well?
Yeah, if I get really stressed, I think I can't be bothered to do anything else.
Yeah, it's almost like your energy's being zapped by the stressor, rather than, and then you've got nothing left to give to anything else.
Yeah, I find that
Apart
quite a
from
lot
food.
at work as well.
Yeah, no, but I think to understanding like what we spoke about earlier in terms of the why, right, and understanding like the deep level stuff, right, and being sweet. Well, if I don't, this is I guess more mindset work, but if I get in better shape physically, mentally, socially, right, and my goal, one of my big things as a kid, or whatever it may be, it's well, how would that change, right? If, and you can ask yourself again as well, like if I don't allow that day to become 2 days, how does that affect my priority goal? Yeah, what will change in that aspect? And then start writing down as well. In that, you can, those 10 questions we asked, right? Whatever the goal is, like dogs, kids, career, etc. Cool. If it doesn't become 2 days, then what does that give you towards your ultimate goal of, I don't know, career, etc. Right? And what does that allow you? If you're in here and fitness is your health and priority, sweet, okay. Well, if you don't let it become 2 days, you've gained yourself an extra week of fitness or working out. That's 3 sessions a week. Cool. What does that give you? What does that? And then you come here, meet people, have more like a bit more balance, etc. A bit of energy, better mood. Oh, cool. If you're in a better mood, then what does that do? What does that give you on a day-to-day basis? What conversations you can start having in your head with other people? Then it starts like bleeding into other areas, and then you can start to understand maybe that the psychology of why 2, 3, 4 days are so detrimental compared to 1. Yeah, and then you can start to, I guess, unwire that. I don't know, I'm probably losing my mind now, but does that make sense? Yeah? I'll try and think of it a better way. Yeah, like, but it's important to like understand, like I said before, right? One's a mistake, one's a mistake, yeah, 2's a habit. Like, it is creating more awareness around that, right? That chimp thing, right? And going for it, like, create more awareness of when you're doing that, and being like detaching emotion away from the food, and being like, okay, this happens all the time. Like Sunday, and maybe the past, I've slipped up 2, 3, 4, 7 days, 10 days in a row. Okay, well this time, what could I do to make it different? Because you know you're about to, once you have that cake or whatever it is, that food that you have, the initial thing, before it goes into a whole splurge of a meal, then 2 days. Okay, at that initial first 5-minute stage, sweet. Okay, this has happened before. What happened in the past? Like, what should I start doing in this present moment? Or should I stop doing in this present moment? And then what should I continue doing in this present moment? Yeah, like little things like that. Just create more awareness around that situation. It is, okay, I should probably start right now having 5 minutes before I have the next bite. Yeah, and it sounds really weird, but just stop yourself at that moment. Okay, my first one is, okay, I'm gonna stop and give myself 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, and you start asking yourself more questions. Okay, what should I stop probably doing right now? Buying the food, you start thinking, if I keep buying that food every Friday night, whatever, that doesn't help me in the long-term goal of my top priority. Okay, well maybe I can get rid of that. Maybe I can just put it in the bin straight away, or maybe I can give it to someone else. Yeah, put it away, right? That's my ultimate goal. Or maybe what should I continue to do? Okay, well actually I'm gonna continue walking around the room, or maybe I'm gonna step outside into the garden, get some fresh air and come back in again. Or it could be I'm gonna continue to ask myself these 3 questions when this happens again. Or I'm continue journaling down when this happens, the feelings and emotions and the triggers that have caused it. Yeah, you just have to create awareness around that. Then you can start to backtrack why it's happened and start to rewire that pattern. If that makes sense. Yeah. But I think most of the time it's just you're just unconsciously doing it. Right? So creating awareness around it, be like, sweet, hold on a sec. This has happened in the past. I know this isn't good for me. Yeah, and then start asking these questions. Yeah, it could be a case of just, when it happens, message someone or do something on your phone or whatever, just distract yourself. Take that 5 minutes and then go again.
I often hear her voice in my head. I'm like, seriously, my alarm will go off and I'm thinking, I can hear her saying, should I? I'm thinking, oh crap, I need to go.
Yeah, what's another motivator, isn't it? Yeah, there you go.
Like if I think Monday I was really bad, I was thinking, oh dear, I'm gonna see you on Wednesday, oh dear. But yeah, it does help me so well.
Yeah.
In your nightmares now.
Yeah.
No, in a good way.
No.
It's a good nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet. Any other questions? At all not? So.
Everyone's ready for bed now.
Yeah, I am too. When you do this one though, the questions you have, the 10 questions, and then we said about the top 3 values, go into them in a bit more detail. Like how will your life change, or how will that specific priority change if you're better physically, mentally, socially? Start asking and start going down the branches, the trees and the branches, and start asking yourself deeper questions until you have that spark in your head. It's like, oh, actually, that really resonates with me. Then circle 2 or 3 and just kind of, for me, like I said before the shoot, right, it's just like asking that question over and over again, like or saying it or seeing it on a day-to-day basis. But actually, that's what resonates with me, right? Because that's more of an anchor. That's more of like a why, right? Rather than just a simple, oh, I want to lose weight. Right, there's direction, meaning, and purpose behind that, right? Because that's your value. That's what you said you feel the most. Okay? Cool.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you.
Very much.